Oh, wow, look at that. They updated Restream. You can add a description.
Well, that's good.
That is good. You know what?
YouTube gave me a strike for having a Restream link in my description.
What?
Oh,
I'm like, what?
in your main description or the sub description?
The video description.
Oh, jeez.
That's not
I was like,
Doesn't it go in there automatically? Yeah.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it goes
Oh.
there automatically. And it gave me a strike, and they were like, "Yo, you're linking back to like some spammy phishing website," and I'm like, "What? Oh, come the fuck on, dude."
That's ridiculous. They can just do whatever they want now. They've basically opened it up to we can cancel who we want for why we want.
But Unspeakable just is killing it. My kids are just hooked on Unspeakable right now. This Minecraft gamer, this dude's living in a fucking $5 million house with his pool full of fucking bouncy those little like balls from the ball pit.
Oh yeah.
I just can't stop watching it though. I mean, I can't help but respect the kid. He's just living on top of the world.
Yeah, right. That's the life.
All right, here comes the tweet. Should be in the feed now.
Pop it in chat once you get it.
What's your Twitter handle off the top of your head?
Hotep Jesus.
Oh, did you switch it to that now?
Yeah.
Wasn't it something else before?
Vibe high.
That's right.
That's a good one too. Vibe high.
Well, if I remember correctly, you had you were Vibe High and you were sitting on Hotep Jesus. Did Twitter make it pretty easy to switch?
Yeah, it took like 2 seconds.
Good to know.
Yeah, I was squatting on that name for a while. Just in case. Just to make sure nobody else took it.
All right, I'm ready to rock. Stream's holding up. Tweets out. Ready when you are, Graham.
Yeah, I'm ready. How long do you want to go for? We usually do like an hour and a half kind of thing. Seems to be the sweet spot.
That's cool.
Yeah. We don't have any ads or commercials, no breaks. You can take one. You can take one anytime. It's pretty raw. No rules. No rules really.
Dope.
Anything goes. So far, we haven't found a rule that actually the guy the Nazi dude kind of, but he didn't get into any of that stuff, so it was okay. We didn't find out till after that buddy was a little bit questionable.
That was like 5 years ago.
We talked to him about aquatic apes, and then we had like 5 people email us. They're like, "Oh, you guys might want to check into Buddy's past." Sure enough. Got a bio? You're good?
Yeah.
Right on.
All right, we've got Hotep Jesus with us. He's been a tech startup advisor, an author, a speaker. He's got a couple books here. One was Dominate Twitter, and unfortunately I didn't have time to read this one, The Unbreakable Rules of Masculinity, because we just found out yesterday we were going to be chatting with him. So welcome to the show. Thanks for chatting.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, like we said, it was like 45 minutes after we had a cancellation,
and it fits great. I mean, a lot of the stuff you're kind of into is the stuff we've been hitting lately. We've been, hard on the being a better person, especially the masculine side of things, obviously, because we're both dudes. We have another show that kind of focuses on masculinity called 13 Questions. And then, lately it seems like me and you are in the same boat when it comes to politics. So, I think the timing couldn't be better to have you on the show. I think technically now, were you a libertarian? Are you a libertarian, or are you you seem like you were going that way for a while, but now you seem to be like, I'm of the belief that they're all fascists and none of them want anything but, the corporate takeover of eventually the entire planet.
Uh, yeah, I never had any political alignment. I used to describe myself as a mercenary for conservatism, volunteer mercenary for conservatism, because I saw them getting their ass whooped by the liberals. Libertarian, I never really took serious. I always thought libertarian was like people who want to be conservative but are too scared to say they're conservative. They don't want to deal with the blowback that comes along with that. So I never really took them serious. But recently, or a couple of days ago, Maj Toure was actually removed as keynote speaker at the Libertarian PAC event or whatever the fuck they have. And as somebody who's been banned from TPUSA events, I kind of see a trend going on here. It's like, if you got wrong think, or if the donors don't like you, then you're out. You basically blackballed from whatever the fuck club I guess they got going on. But all this shit is a business. It's all money. It's all games. I don't take it too serious. I look at it as a vehicle to open people's eyes. So if you ever want to have a conversation with somebody, you basically want to find something you guys can relate to. So I find that politics has become pop culture. So being abreast on the situations in politics and events in politics allows me to talk to people and understand people better. Once you understand their political leanings. And then from there, I can introduce them to new ideas. But yeah, I don't identify as any of these labels. The only thing I identify is Hotep.
What exactly is the Hotep moniker? I see a lot of Hoteps all over the place.
Yeah, it's like the nuclear family, man. It's like it's a very holistic view of life. It's about the culture. So you'll hear people say politics is downstream from culture. Well, obviously, so we're more concerned with what is the culture that we're representing, and the culture that we're creating, and the culture that we're passing down to our children. What's the mentality? Is it a victor or victim mentality? A lot of people are running with this whole victor mentality versus victim mentality. This is something we were on in years ago. This is what we were preaching. But if you ever read a Napoleon Hill book, Napoleon Hill could be described as Hotep. Just knowing you can get something done and then go ahead and doing it, and not too much complaining about stuff.
Yeah, Think and Grow Rich is probably one of my. It's hard because the reading list is fluid. I feel like it depends what day of the week it is to where my top 5 books might fit in. But Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich is always in the top 5. I've been chipping away at his whole collection now for a while, but that dude was ahead of his time, man. I mean, he must have started Think and Grow Rich, I think, in 1912 or some shit. And he's and now you just look at the whole market that's just been created off of Think and Grow Rich. I mean, you look at all that stuff is just they're mining Think and Grow Rich and taking all the shit out of that. And it's like,
yeah, he's the father of that whole genre.
Yeah, man, he nailed it.
I like Outwitting the Devil. I feel like that's his best work.
Who is that? Fiction?
Outwitting the Devil?
Yeah.
No, it's a Napoleon Hill book, right? Like right in the same line as Think and Grow Rich.
I'm gonna have to dig that up.
Yeah, I mean, you can listen to it free on YouTube too. But I mean, that one is more. It's basically a conversation he has with this persona he calls the devil, and the topics in there are a lot more taboo than the ones in Think and Grow Rich. Think and Grow Rich is very normie safe.
Yeah.
When you start getting into what he talks about in Outwitting the Devil, a lot of people aren't going to be able to handle what he's saying, especially if you're religious.
That's interesting. That's kind of like, that reminds me of what Scott Adams did, where he's got his his self-help sort of stuff, and then he's got that God's Debris, which is just sort of it's wild. It's just like, it's a quick read. It's an hour long, but I mean, he calls it a thought experiment, and it's a pretty apt way of describing it.
Yeah, no, I didn't check that out. I gotta check it out.
Yeah, it's definitely worth it if you like Scott Adams stuff. I mean, I thought How to Fail at Everything and Still Win Big was kind of one of the books that sort of opened the door of all this stuff for me, for sure.
Mm. Mm.
But I mean, I agree with all that. That's my main, the thing I keep coming back to is that it doesn't matter what ism you want to run with. You can have it, capitalism, socialism, it doesn't matter. You pick your ism. If as long as we got people that aren't, as long as we're not creating the best people that we can, then we're gonna have a fucking pile of shit.
That's absolute truth. That's absolute truth, man.
So I guess that's kind of what the Hoteps are pushing for. It's more of a culture movement than.
Yeah, you look at where conservatism is today, as opposed to in the 50s, you wouldn't even be able to recognize it. Conservatism today is liberal in the 50s. We see drag queens hanging out with conservatives at their events. That's not even, forget political leanings. That's not even described as an adjective, conservative. So we're in a very odd place in time. I feel like the quote unquote Black experience in America is very much subject to the decisions that white people make in America. So it behooves us to get involved in some of the decision making and some of the influence in politics and culture to at least try and steer this stuff in the right direction. Somebody's got to speak up. Somebody's going to say something. A lot of times people say, "Oh, you're trolling, you're trolling." I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm just going in a whole nother direction than you. It seems like you guys kind of go in the direction of what's acceptable, and what's acceptable, that word doesn't even exist in my vocabulary. What's acceptable is what I say is acceptable. What society says is acceptable doesn't have to be my definition of acceptable. So I'm looking to break all those mental chains and barriers that people say you can and cannot do, can and cannot say. I'm here to break PC culture. I'm not here to say the right things. I'm here to say the things that people need to hear, whether people think it's right or wrong. But I have a lot in my head and I have a lot to express. And I'm not going to let somebody else's rules dictate, how I express myself or when I express myself. I'm not going to censor myself. I try not to. Although some subjects you kind of got to tap dance around.
Yeah.
Because it can't be talked about. But, other than that, I feel like a lot of people aren't speaking up. A lot of people are afraid to speak up. So sometimes I feel like if I don't say it, who's going to say it,
Yeah, that's one thing I've realized from listening to you for on and off for the last day or two here, just to get ready for this, is that you're really not getting stuck in that victim mode. You're solution orientated, and your visualization is like through the roof. Whatever you can imagine, you can become. And it's really, you're not even on tech censorship, the way I heard you describe that being a positive thing. It's like, hey, this is a wake up call and this is an opportunity for a bunch of people. It's hard for me not to I just get stuck in complaining about that, like being a victim over the censorship, that like, this is what's happening now. And yeah, you seem to be like looking at that from the glass half full.
Yeah. Yeah. The future's going to have what the future holds. And it's pretty much inevitable that, and when it comes to technology, there's going to be a mainstream and an underground. There's going to be government, and there's going to be cypherpunk. All the fiction writers and people are all dreaming about this stuff because they know it's going to become a reality. Technology is going to be highly governed. So you're going to need some backdoor technologies, etc. You're going to need the Tor browser. We're going to need our own ISPs. But I just feel like, like this war is gonna be very techie. We're headed for a very techie war,
Mm-hmm.
and it's time to strap your boots and get ready because it's coming. Like
Well,
YouTube's gonna do what it's gonna do.
I mean, it's like,
Well, it's not just YouTube. It's Facebook. It's Google. It's I mean, it's everywhere. That's the problem. The scary part is the payment processors, and again, it gets pretty deep. I think there was one guy that just got cut off from PayPal recently as well.
Yeah, but
and it's not just that you're not allowed to voice it. It's that you're all of a sudden they're cutting the lines of support away as well.
But that's what I say. Like, you can jump and scream and post and yell and complain all you want, but that's not going to change their thing. Your time is better spent figuring out how you're going to fucking tap dance around that.
Well, I think it's
like
okay
I said,
to highlight it, though. I mean, people have to know, right?
One day we'll be selling muffin cookbooks for $150 a piece on some separate entity so that we can get paid for Grimerica, and that'll be like the thing. Head to susiesmuffins.com and buy a book if you want to support the show. I like whatever we got to do to get there, I guess.
Yeah, you're gonna have to be innovative, and somebody's gonna be that pioneer. Somebody's gonna lead that charge, and people will migrate and follow their lead, and then somebody else will pioneer and create another fork. But that's what kind of bugs me about the whole political scene is the fact that, today everybody's talking about impeachment this, impeachment that, and people are always just glued into the politics show, right? So politics in America is now pop culture. It's a place where influencers can get some serious income by milking people's emotions, by keeping this political war going. This political machine has cogs in it that keep it going, and all these political pundits and influencers are those cogs that kind of keep this machine running and keep people distracted. So when we think about things like tech censorship, they want to head to legislation. And I just feel like it's a slippery slope because every time they go to create new legislation, it ends up affecting the people. So I feel like, the people need to be more unified. It's really hard to fight the tech companies when you're already fighting yourself, the so-called left and your so-called right.
Yeah,
but I see white people just killing themselves as opposed to saying, hey, look, we have a serious enemy ahead of us. Let's drop this, I hate Trump thing. Let's drop this I hate AOC thing. And let's look at the things that seriously matter around us, because these politicians are playing a game and they're getting rich off of playing our emotions.
Yeah, that's where I think that's where I come in with the whole fascism angle, because it seems to me like both parties are content to just keep saying whatever the fuck they got to say, but it doesn't matter who's in power. The policies and the legislation all keep pointing in the same direction. And it's all just a matter of, making the emotions get so we can. And I mean, that's kind of the problem with that Trump brought in, is because I feel like, everyone had just about given up on it, on politics and and, everyone was kind of getting to the point where it's like, okay, the government is fucking us. And it seemed like everyone was there, and it's like, okay, well, let's throw a black guy in, and then we'll get Trump in here yelling and screaming, and now we've got the political polarization at a level that I haven't seen in my lifetime. And that's all happened in 3 years. They managed to do that. So now we've got like guys who used to be stars of the hip hop world at the fucking White House jamming with the president. Like Tupac would be fucking rolling over in his grave. I think, right? Like you got the leaders of the music industry who used to be the people that were bitching against the man, now just there saying, hey,
Well, there's still plenty of them bitching about the man.
Not
about Orange Man, yeah.
Oh, yeah, about Orange Man. Yeah. That's okay.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what we need, a Trump, so that we can get the artists back to hating the president.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just... I don't know. We're just in a weird place right now, man.
It's never going to be the same.
I don't think.
I just think he's blown it open, and it is polarized. But a lot of people are waking up to the facade now, so it's never going to go back to the way it was.
There's no putting it back in the bottle.
You think people are waking up?
Yeah, I think so.
I
I
don't
think
know.
people go. I think people going back to sleep.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
There's a little of both, I think.
Yeah.
It's a real hard metric to track because there's like people going down, but at the same time, I mean, I see just in our community, just in our little community, people that were like anti-government a few years ago are now like, fuck the liberals or fuck the conservatives. It's like those people got sucked back. Graham got sucked back in for a while. He's like teetering on the fringes.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard when politics becomes pop culture, right? It's like it's not even politics anymore. It's just like what everybody's talking about. So you kind of have to talk about it sometimes.
Yeah.
You can try to avoid it, but it's just it's so prevalent now.
So is that a Trump thing? Because I don't know. I feel like it wasn't like that before. Even during Obama, I feel like everything was still just sort of like, yeah, no one gave a shit about politics.
Yeah, yeah. Under Obama, it wasn't like that at all. This is definitely a first. I feel like the nation was ready to rebel at the end of Bush's presidency, and then Obama kind of quelled the nation, and then here's Trump, like the perfect scapegoat, the perfect distraction, and just kind of set everybody back. And like they used him to divide the country. They used his image to divide the country. When I didn't see what in his message divided the country. I thought his message was unifying the country. I don't know.
I think that's why Darren thinks it's more of a setup. Like I that's what I would think.
So
too.
we agree on that. The only difference is you would say it's the media and the deep state that's setting Trump up to do that, and I would say that Trump is a willing participant to some effect.
Yeah.
I say that the onus is on people, man. I feel like if you vote, you're a terrorist to me, man. I feel every time I see somebody talking about voting, I just be looking at them like, yo, you setting us back, man.
Yeah.
Like every time you go to that voting booth to go vote on the federal election, I'm just like, yo, you keep setting us back, bro. Like, fuck the federal government, man. Act like they don't exist. Nobody show up at the polls. What are they gonna do then? Like literally, like if nobody shows up at the poll, what are they gonna do? How are they gonna elect a new president?
Hillary Clinton wins with 3 votes.
Yeah, then they'll force you to vote. Yeah.
Even then, what changes, right?
Yeah.
Like, doesn't change foreign policy. That's not going to change whatever plans they have for America,
Well, that's one way to look at it. I mean, that's the part of it that we like to wash our hands of. And that's where I say, like, when I say they're all fascists, that means that by, definition, we're fascists too. And, maybe we're not fascist personally, but we're definitely being okay with it. We're participating. And what I like to say is, like, in 1,000 years from now, when someone's reading a history book, they're not going to say, well, these people were just, they were just kind of ignorant because they were busy watching TV and football, and they weren't part of the bomb in the other side of the world fucking every day for thousands of days straight. But I don't think history will be that kind to us. I mean, that's kind of the thing where, I don't know, just us paying taxes and participating and not raising a stink or trying to make a change, I guess, is a level of.
Yeah, like every time you vote, you're basically saying, good job. You guys are doing a great job. Keep it going. That's exactly what a vote means. Like voting your local election is fine, but the federal, like every time you vote, you're basically saying, you know what? I agree to these illegal wars overseas. It's literally what you're saying. You're saying, great job. Keep it going, fellas.
No matter what country, do you think? Even like Canada?
Well, you know what I say?
I deal with America. I don't know what goes on in any other country.
Yeah.
I deal with the country I live in. I know what's going on here because I live here. I don't know what's going on in any other countries. I can only speak on what we got and what I see. Maybe it's similar in other countries. I don't know. I just know here in America, it's some bullshit. And the average American voter is just not educated enough to even make a decision on who should be president. The whole process of electing a president is broken. I mean, you have to be a millionaire to be a president. Like, how does that make sense? Right?
Yeah.
It doesn't even make sense. Like, take the money out of politics. That's why I was happy that Twitter decided to ban political ads. I thought that was a great idea.
Yeah.
You know, either the people like what you got or you don't. Like, you shouldn't be trying to game the system with, you know, with money.
Yeah.
And I feel the same way about marketing too. Like, everybody tries to like game the system with advertising, and it's just like, well, are people buying your product because they like it, or are they buying it because they saw an ad? You know, and you end up having a drop off of customers because of, you know, the advertising spend has changed. But it's just really inorganic. But yeah, like, if you vote, you're a terrorist to your own nation. You literally are. If you feed into this system emotionally, into these political games on Twitter all day, you're a terrorist. You're a terrorist to your nation, because the nation needs healing. It don't need politics. The only purpose of a government is for an uncivilized people. If the people were civilized, we wouldn't need government. So the presence of a government is basically the presence, or the admitting that people are uncivilized. And if people act civilized, we wouldn't need no government. And not voting would be an act of being civilized. As we know, democracy is mob rule. So yeah, I don't know. I've voted before. Actually, I voted once for Obama, and I did that just because he was black. But I usually don't vote in the federal elections.
Yeah. I didn't either for quite a while until this last one.
Yeah.
I got sucked. I got sucked right in.
I'm not voting in the next election either.
Yeah.
I spoil my ballot. I like to do that. I'll make the effort to go down there and write something clever.
I want to pull a permit and protest and tell everybody go to fuck home.
Oh yeah, I wonder what they do if you tried that in Canada. We should try that next time. We'll go out in front of the thing there, and we'll just be like, we'll get some signs. Don't fucking vote. Go home.
I don't think people know what to do, right? I mean, I think people might agree with this ideology and, you know, just resist the government. Like we had Thaddeus Russell on before, which was very much like this. You know, create your own sort of, your own market, your underground, whatever. But it's hard for people to imagine how they would separate out from playing the game, you know?
That's because they can't imagine themselves without it.
Yeah, maybe.
That's because they don't have faith in themselves. It has anything to do with the government. It has everything to do with their own insecurity and inability to feel like they could provide for themselves and provide for their own safety. And that they feel like we need the so-called government. The government doesn't do shit but harass us. That's all it does. The government doesn't protect us. It's not required to protect us. It never has protected us. So I don't see the purpose of having one.
So that gets back to what we were saying before about consumers and entrepreneurs, like being on the other side of that. You know, visualizing yourself as a what was the word you used?
Victor. Victor.
No. That's kind of like it, but this is different. It's more on a consumer versus creator base or whatever, I guess. You know, visualizing yourself as an entrepreneur or an influencer instead of an endorser, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. They call themselves influencers, but really they're just endorsers. You heard me say that before?
Yeah. But the one was more about the consumer part, like, because, you know, we fall into the trap of either being a creator or a consumer, and I think to try and visualize ourselves as, you know, not getting sucked into that job where you're relying on somebody else to pay your wage, but find your own path, find your own, you know, means.
Eke it out.
Yeah, but it's hard, man. It's hard to visualize that.
Been trying for 6 years.
Yeah, that's working.
Eking out a little corner of the internet.
Yeah.
It could be hard, but everything that's worth something is hard.
Well, I don't think it's not supposed to be easy. I mean, I don't know where we got that in our head, that if you just take the easy life that you're going to be able to get ahead, or, you know, or even get through, I guess, with any level of fulfillment.
Yeah, it doesn't make no sense, you know. Either you're going to believe in yourself or not. That's all it comes down to, you know. If you don't, then you don't. You know, if you do, then great. But that's the only differentiator. And if you have a pessimistic view on life, that says more about you than life itself.
Yeah. How much do you attribute your success to visualization and believing in yourself?
Like 100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
Outside of my good upbringing from my parents.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, it's everything. Like when we set this interview up, I said my intuition told me to go ahead and do this interview with you guys. And then today you told me that 45 minutes before that, your other guest canceled, right? So there's this alignment that happens that if we follow our intuition, life becomes really easy. So I move when I move my intuition tells me to, so visualization is part of it, but the other half is just following my instincts, man. When that voice in your head talks, or you get these ideas, you got to start acting on them. A lot of people get ideas and they put them on the back burner. They don't write them down or they don't act on them. And it really sets them back. But God or the universe sets you up to succeed all throughout life and all throughout your day. And it's just a matter of, can you open your mind up to receive those thoughts and to act on them? I could have ignored the thought to go on the Grimerica show, but here I am.
That's interesting because I find I've been on a path lately that's almost the opposite of that, where it's like I'm actively arguing with the voice in my head because a lot of times I find it's trying to maybe take the easy route or maybe talk me out of doing something because it might be harder or something like that. Is that?
Well, I think that's what I was trying to explain to you. Is there's a difference
There's a
between
couple
your
different voices
intuition
in there.
and the voice and your ego voice, your negativity or your reflex of negative thinking is different, I think, than what Hotep's talking
Yeah.
about with intuition. Like,
I think
and how
intuition
the
would
trick
be
is like, how do you?
your authentic self
Yeah.
creeping up, right?
Yeah.
I met one of them on Saturday, but I can't remember much of it.
Of your authentic self?
I think so, yeah. He said a word, but I can't remember the word. Get that?
Yeah, that's why I like that book, Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill, because that other voice is what he attributes in the book, The Devil. And it puts those negative thoughts in your head, that doubt and fear. So anytime you have those type of thoughts, usually that's not your intuition. Although your intuition can warn you about danger.
Yeah.
But I think it comes with practice. You see, the mind thoughts are very slow, whereas the intuitional thoughts are like flashes of inspiration, flashes of light. So you can kind of tell which is which by the speed in which it happens. Usually the voice is really slow and like trying to reason through things, right? And it's doing all these different calculations. But the intuition voice is sort of like a flash of lightning. And if you know how to pay attention to that, you can tell the difference between the two voices. But you definitely have three voices. You have your conscious voice, the devil's voice, and God's voice, I guess you can say.
Do you notice any times when those flashes of inspiration have a better chance of coming through? Like, do you have a meditative practice, or from what I've always noticed in the shower. I mean, that's pretty cliche, but it seems like I get into that mode in the shower where I'm just thinking about washing my arm and nothing else, and that's when
The relaxation response.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't listen and speak at the same time. So the mind works the same exact way. In fact, when you purchase my book, Dominate Twitter, it comes with a book on subconscious mind reprogramming.
Huh.
So you get two books for the price of one. But we talk about how to clear out the mind. And a lot of that is focusing on the five senses. And you can't taste or listen to music and think at the same exact time. You have to do one or the other. You can rapidly alternate. You might be listening to a song and think about something else, but you can't listen to a song intensely and think at the same time. You end up alternating between the two. But usually when you're intensely
Focus.
Focused on one of the five senses, the brain is quiet, which allows influx of inspiration to enter the mind. And that's when you get a lot of intuitive thoughts. That's why meditation works, and showers a form of meditation. I like to just sit in the bathroom sometimes, just sit on the toilet. I get my best thoughts when I'm just sitting on the toilet.
Yeah, that's incredible advice. It keeps coming back to that concentration meditation or the mindfulness to get you to the concentration meditation and that focus, and then you can start to tell the difference between that speed of your intuition compared to that that droning negative thought. Because if you don't, it's hard to tell if you don't have any of that.
It's like tricking yourself into that flow state, right? Whether you can do it by intense concentration on a sense, would make a lot of sense, or by. So like when I do it, what do? I don't know what I do. I just sit there and and try and think about nothing.
I remember like 25 years ago, I was with a counselor, and I was expressing my love for hockey to play that to the sports, and she's like, "That's your now time." And that was one of the first times I'd heard about being present or now time, and she would associate that love for sports, with now time. Like that's when you get into that flow state where you're not worrying about anything else, but you're just playing the game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Eckhart Tolle has that book, The Power of Now.
Yeah.
Pretty good read. And he talks about being completely and totally present.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is super helpful. I think that if people could learn how to be completely and totally present, a lot of the stuff around them wouldn't affect them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's it. I mean, I heard a great quote the other day that was like, depression is worrying about the past. And then, I mean, obviously it's not for all cases, but for like 99%, depression, you're focused too much on the past. Anxiety, you're focused too much on the future. And if you just come in on that present, probably not so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say, oh, that's right. Oh, I'm reading that Tao Te Ching. Maybe it's in that. That would make sense.
Oh, the Tao, yeah.
I just started it, and what I'm doing.
Did you hear Hotep talk about it before?
No,
Yeah.
I actually did it. One of our listeners said, "You got to read this book," and I said, "I'm so behind on books," and then it showed up at the mailbox. So I was like, "Okay," but it works out good because I was like, "Well, geez, I could read this in an hour." But then I was like, he was like, "No, what you do is you read one per day,
You contemplate on
you
each page per
contemplate
day,
it for
yeah.
the day." So I started doing that. I'd get up in the morning, read one page, and I just kind of sit with it for the day.
Yeah, it takes me forever to read a book because I could literally pick up a book and it'll take me 15 minutes to read a page because I'll stop and think, and like really try to, especially some of the heavier material about European history and socialism and communism. And then, so my mind will wander. And I used to think that was a bad thing, that when I was reading and my mind would wander, I used to think that was a bad thing. And then I realized that those wandering moments are when my body's actually absorbing the information and absorbing it on a deeper level. So I don't get discouraged anymore. I'll read a page and one quote would just stick out to me, and then my mind will wander, and I'll just allow it to happen. And then just like really like try to understand exactly what the guy say. Cause I mean, anybody can kind of like run through a book and just read the words on the page, but do you understand on a deep level what you just read? Like some people will say, it was a quick read, it was really good. And other people will be like, yo, I read it 5 times and I make $10,000 a month now. And it's like 2 different things, right? Because the way I write in concise thoughts, concise sentences. So if you read my book fast, you're going to miss everything. You really have to read each sentence really slow to understand what I'm saying, because there's so many levels to it. But some people read just to like say, oh, I read a book a day, I read a book a day, and they're just counting. But it's just like, well, how much of that information are you really able to take and empower yourself in the world with,
I've noticed lately that dabbling into some fiction can really make some of that nonfiction stuff pop too. What's
I found out late in life about that.
yeah, what's some of your favorite fiction?
Well, I just, this summer I read 1984, and Animal Farm.
Oh, those are good ones.
Those are not
I've got-
those are not fiction though.
No, yeah, those.
We asked you about your fiction
Yeah.
things, not
And not a documentary, right?
Yeah.
I've got those stashed away because I figure they'll be illegal by the time my kids are in high school. So
Yeah.
gather around, kids. Yeah, we'll go down to Crazy Old Man Grimes's so he can read us Animal Farm.
Yeah, I feel like fiction does help, man, and fiction helps your writing too. You know, there's a lot of descriptive words that you need to add to your vocabulary in order to be a good writer, especially a good sales copywriter. A lot of those words you don't have in nonfiction books. So the variety of words in fiction are different from the variety of words in nonfiction. So to have a holistic vocabulary, you definitely need to read
right.
fiction books.
Yeah, that's kind of the main reason I started dabbling in it. Some of it's just amazing. Amazing just how, like I just, go ahead, Graham.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you're going to say amazing about the creativity in these fiction and sci-fi books and stuff, right? Or
Well, I just finished The Brothers Karamazov, and that book, I learned more about like human psychology and the human experience than I did in the last like half a dozen books I've read on actual human psychology. Just in the way he's able to the way he's able to describe feelings that I've kind of felt but haven't been able to even put words to them until I just read that paragraph.
Yeah.
And now he's just put something into words that I have, now I know what I felt, but before it was just some fleeting
you couldn't even
feeling.
articulate
But
it.
some fucking Russian Jew just articulated it for me. It fucking floored me. I couldn't believe it. And now I've committed to always have a work of fiction on the go. For that reason. I mean, I was reading another one the other day that just had this. It has this little like throwaway line in it, and it's like a fantasy novel, and it's got this. But this cat is teaching this guy how to control the universe with this magic book, and he's too aggressive when he says something, and the shoe comes and it hits him in the face, and the cat's like, no, you got to use tone is super important when you're talking to the universe, and I was just like. I don't know. For some reason, it just clicked with me when it comes to affirmations and everything else. And it comes down to like assertiveness. So if you really want something, you know, maybe even your affirmations have to come from a place of you deserving it, or, you know, not like a bitch. Like, can I have this, please, Mr. Universe? It's got to be like, no. So just, you know, simple little throwaway line that is like tweaked into my world outlook somehow.
Yeah, I don't fuck with affirmations. I feel like affirmations are some shit for women. They deal with, they deal with insecurity, so they got to keep telling themselves certain things so that they don't fall into depression. I believe in visualization. I just visualize myself as I want to be, and live in that moment inside of my head, and that fulfills me. You know, writing down, oh, I am this and I am that, and repeating it to yourself. I kind of feel like I'm, trying to rehabilitate myself from a psych ward when I do shit like that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Well, that's where most of us are at.
Well, some people don't. Some people, some people have a hard time visualizing. I have a hard time visualizing.
21st century culture could be you know, compared to a psych ward in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So it's that visualization process for you. Is that just kind of picturing yourself in your head of already written the book, say, or?
No, more or less about the result after the book is out.
The feeling, the emotional feeling.
Well, like with the book, I didn't do any visualizations for the book, right? Like I do, for me, my visualization is more or less about what does my lifestyle look like after everything is all said and done. You see, how you get to where you want to get usually isn't how you plan it. You might plan something in the universe and God got a whole nother plan for you. So I don't worry about how I get there. Yeah. I just worry about what it looks like when I get there and let the universe figure out the in-betweens for me.
Yeah.
So would that be like picturing your house, your car, your neighborhood, that you're picturing where you're going to be, and then everything else just sort of fills in the blank? Because that's interesting, because Napoleon always says you got to like also visualize what you're going to give.
Yeah, yeah. All those elements are valid. It's not even so much about the visualization as much as it is about the feeling, because the universe is uh is vibratory. So it's not really going to understand pictures. It's not going to understand language, but it's going to understand how you feel when you visualize something. So I could visualize myself, in a Ferrari. If I don't feel the emotion of being in that Ferrari, the visualization isn't really going to take hold, as if, I felt in my heart, what it felt like to be sitting in that Ferrari or whatever it is, right? You have to feel the rush of the wind against your skin and the goosebumps that come along with that. Those are the vibrations that the universe is going to respond to. Sometimes you get like butterflies in your stomach, or some sort of emotion that you can feel in your body. When you get mad, you get hot. But your body feels, your frequency changes based upon how you feel. So when I visualize, I don't really try to. I'm not so much concerned about the visualization as much as I am about the feeling.
Yeah.
I change how I feel, and it puts me in alignment to where I need to be at.
At a pretty big picture level, right? It's a feeling at a big picture level, not of like after an event or after an accomplishment like the book. It's like, this is how I'm going to feel in like 10, 20 years or something like that. Or,
Right.
yeah.
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 Yeah. Very much so, high level.
How
Yeah.
often do you
Probably
do
boils
that?
down to being grateful.
Oh yeah, you definitely. Yeah, well, gratefulness and thankfulness is cool. How often do I do it? I don't know. Like it's a
It's a
when
random thing whenever you feel like you need to, or
I mean, when something becomes your lifestyle, you don't really track it.
Yeah.
It's like saying, how often do you do your push-ups? It's like, I don't know, every day. Like I kind of don't. I don't really track it. It's more like a reflex.
yeah.
When I feel off, it's just certain things I do to put myself back on. I don't think about, oh, I have to go, and I just do it. It's just natural for me now because that's my lifestyle.
Yeah.
I even do it when I feel up. If I'm feeling super happy, I adjust myself back down to an equilibrium. Like I talk about in my book, Unbreakable Rules of Masculinity. I say a source of man's power is equilibrium. Never be too happy, never be too sad. So I love to stay in that equilibrium space where most of this shit doesn't phase me. It doesn't make me super happy, and it doesn't make me super sad either. I feel like, to get happy after you accomplish something is kind of like stupid in many ways, because it's like either you expected it or you didn't. So for me, after I accomplished something, people are like, oh, don't you think that's so great? And I'm like, yeah, but it's like I'm kind of like on to the next one already. Like people were saying like, oh, you're on Joe Rogan, that's so crazy, like how did you feel? And I'm like, I didn't even try to process feelings. I like that didn't enter my mind and like try and process what this is. I was more or less concerned with, damn, I didn't mean to say all the shit I said on there. Like I meant to censor myself more, but I was so comfortable that I was like really 100% me.
Yeah, you sounded
And then
comfortable on there.
yeah, and afterwards I was happy, what I did, but there, there was no like emotional thing that I had. I was just like, I was on Rogan. Like I expect to be successful as opposed to being surprised when I'm
Yeah,
successful.
yeah, that makes sense,
Yeah.
man. That's like the Buddhist equanimity, right? I mean, it's that I feel like it's raising, instead of these huge ups and downs, which I mean, there's suffering, of course, and there's happy times and sad times, but instead of these huge swings, it's more of a sine wave that would be, around the middle, but the whole level of contentment, like the base
Raises.
level of contentment is raised. So even
Yeah.
when you're down, you're still your base
Happier
level
than
of
you were most of the time.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the way I think
That's
about it.
exactly it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really try to deal with emotions too much.
Yeah. But that takes a while to get there, though. I mean, there's I think, a lot of sort of meditating. It comes back to meditating on that as well. And just that, I think that brings some of that equanimity.
Yeah, I mean, my father was initiated, so I had a lot of the teachings when I was a child. Um, so I've been taught visualization since I was a child, right?
Yeah.
So I was kind of initiated into this thing through family, but um, I was naturally, I was never the type of kid to really let shit bother me, maybe because my dad was so hard on me that like everything else in life seemed easy. Because my dad raised me like he was a military dad, right? So like everything I did was wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, um, everything had to be corrected. He was always trying to sharpen me. I was taught, fork in your left hand, knife in your right hand. When your plate is done, you don't cross your knife and fork. You put them side by side, and that means your plate's done. If you're still eating, you cross your knife and fork. Don't put your elbows on the table. Don't lick your fingers. Don't eat with your hands. Like I was raised like really, really strict like that. So when I went out into the world, I went to school and I saw a lot of undisciplined people. I kind of looked at people funny, like it's just not really judgment, just like, oh, like this is different.
Yeah.
But I you know I never really, like, I remember one time I was selling mortgages. This is when I was back when I was a mortgage broker, and we had this guy who I thought was a waste of time. He used to qualify mortgages. Now, I used to qualify mortgages in my head. Like I could do the calculations in my head and find a range on what the how many points I was going to make on the front and back end based upon the rate sheet that day. And so I kind of had a ballpark figure on where my people would be. But we had to hand our paperwork into this guy and he'd go rate the stuff. And then he handed it back to me and it'd be exactly what I pitched already. But anyway, I remember one day I had a loan. It's probably worth about maybe 5 or 6K to me and take home pay. And it blew up, on like the day before closing or something like that. And I remember the guy's name was Michael Bottles. And he was like, yo, your loan blew up, this, that, and the third, something wrong with the appraisal. And I was just like, all right, I'll check it out. And I sat right there. I didn't even move. I just started looking through the thing and I called him up. I told him what the problem was. And it didn't seem like the loan was going to go through and I was going to lose out on 5 or 6K. And Mike was like, yo, aren't you mad? Aren't you upset? And I was like, nah, I'm not really. Like, it's just money. Like, I'm good. Like, I got money saved up. Like, it's not like if I don't close this loan, I'm gonna be on the street, you know? And it kind of backfired on me because people assumed that I was stealing. They were like, well, if he's not disturbed by losing this, because usually when you lose that type of money, people in the office would freak out, like, oh my God, like, this loan is worth so much. I just didn't freak out like that. So they thought that I was in collusion with this guy and trying to, because there's a lot of fraudulent stuff going on in the mortgage industry, people faking appraisals and all this type of stuff.
Yeah.
But, so I think they thought that I knew the guy was handing over a fraudulent appraisal and I was in on it trying to get this thing to go through. When the truth of the matter is the guy wanted a mortgage and we linked up and I was trying to give him a mortgage and he handed me a fugazi appraisal. Like, but because I was so calm about it, they thought I was in on it, So sometimes being in control of your emotions, sometimes I have to pretend like I'm emotional just so people think I'm normal.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
I have to pretend like I'm happy.
Yeah.
So people think I'm normal.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So do you equate that to like a lack of emotion or shutting down of emotion, or more of a stoicism where you let the emotions sort of creep in and just choose whether or not you're going to react to it?
Definitely more stoic. I don't know. I don't know. I just don't see the point. Like, I don't know. I just remember Kathy. This is when I was working for 50 Cent. This is like 2012. And I remember speaking with Kathy. She said, this older lady, I always respected her. She was one of the top dogs there. I was a marketing director, but she pulled me into all the top meetings, man. The meetings with Kanye West. She pulled me into all the top meetings, And my associates hated it because here was my associates are Harvard and Princeton graduates. Here's this kid with no college degree getting pulled into all the executive meetings because he's got this brilliant mind. And, you know, all the executives love me, you know. And I remember she pulled me in. She said, never get too high, never get too low. And that was like pretty much the only advice she really like gave me on a personal level. And I thought about it because I was kind of like already there. I just never put words with it because I didn't know what I was feeling when I said to myself, you know, don't be too high, don't be too low. I just lived that, you know. But there were times where after she said that, I was like, yo, maybe I did get too happy at certain moments, you know, because sometimes, you know, it's like the classic case where the guy's jumping up and down and, you know, he's running around and he runs into the street, boom, he gets hit by a car. Right? It's like, calm the fuck down, you know. So I don't know. I just look at I look at it as emotion, you know, or happiness or sadness is something that is temporary any goddamn way. So like, why are you trying to hold on to?
Is that something you talk about in your book as well? The unbreakable rules of masculinity.
Yeah.
Is that one of those rules?
Yeah, in the chapter on equilibrium.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, my editor, they said that was their favorite chapter was my chapter on equilibrium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What can you give us a few more of the rules? What are like the top three?
Yeah. Don't savor. Demonstration over explication. You know, don't argue with her. Those are like the top that on the top of my mind. I even have this thing where I don't fall in love with my work. So people ask me questions about my work. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I wrote, bro. Go read it and come back and ask me questions and, you know, remind me. Yeah. You know, but after I write something, I kind of forget about it because I'm thinking about like the next thing I'm writing, you know? So if somebody asks me like, what's in your book? I'm like, I don't fucking know. Go buy this shit and read it. You know, I don't fall in love with my work like that. You know, it was just like I wrote my book on marketing. I wrote that book to get ideas out of my head because they were swirling in my head. And when ideas are swirling in my head, they bother me because I can't think about other stuff. So if I can get it out of my head and on paper, then I can think about new things and new ideas and new concepts. And the same thing happened with this masculinity book. It was just like, you know, there's all these concepts and rules that, you know, I was trying to express on Twitter, but it just wasn't the right format. And, you know, there's a lot of explanation that has to go behind some of my theory. You know, like women are the apex predator is a popular chapter in my book. And, you know, trying to explain that to people in a world where they think patriarchy runs things, right? So, but, you know, a lot of this stuff I embody. So I don't need to remember what I wrote because I embody what I wrote. I am what I wrote. You know, I think it's better when people go read my work and then come back and say, this part right here, what did you mean? And then we can kind of dive into it. But like when people ask me questions like, oh, tell me about your book, I'm like, go read it.
So what did you mean by women are the apex predator of the planet?
They're the apex predator. That's exactly what it means.
They choose us, not we choose them.
Oh yeah, I'm just poking this along here. I'm not with you.
That's exactly what it means. We think we're hunting, and we're not. We're being hunted. We're being trapped. They're the trappers.
It's kind of like that. We're being willingly trapped. It's like that meme with the cats where you just put a box out and a cat will go sit in it. It's like you just pick your pants off and a dude's gonna show up.
I mean, think about what you do when you go bear hunting or deer hunting, right? You got to put on camouflage. That's your dress. You know, you got to put on, I forget what it's called, but the stuff they put on to mask the smell of their human body. You know, you got to put that on. That's a woman's perfume. You know, you're doing all these things to disguise yourself so you can trap your prey. And that's pretty much what women do, man. They got push-up bras and makeup and these dresses, and they even lie and act like something that they're not in the honeymoon phase. I mean, we all kind of do. But at the end of the day, man, they're the ones that are the progenitors of society, of the human race. So they're really the ones that pick and choose who's going to be the future of the human race. You know, what male is worthy enough to create the next generation. Men don't pick women. Women pick men.
So, what's the feeling of your book then? And for who is your book written for? And what's the feeling like for guys that are having a problem with their masculine side, or guys that just, this is like, how to live in this world and not be a toxic male, but be respected and be better?
Yes, it's really for single men and men in relationships to understand how to deal with women, to have better relationships with women.
Yeah.
You know, women are fickle and inconsistent. So, which means that men have to be even more consistent than they usually are. So it's very stoic in that sense, where we don't let the nature of woman disturb us and get us sidetracked and ignoring a lot of things women do and say because they're just being stupid women. But more or less about it's more or less about focusing on yourself, making yourself a better man, because once you lose sight of that, the women goes. The women go. You have a woman that'll be with a man for 10 years. The minute he starts slipping on his, on his exercise, or starts slipping on his money or his career, she's out. She's out the door, Whereas, when she starts slipping and she starts getting fat, the guy is usually still hanging around, right? So,
yeah, we had a good chat with Dr. Robert Glover, and a lot of it was about neediness and how, you can't become approval seeking and neediness. That sounds very similar to that.
Yeah.
Lack of assertiveness.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. My book touches on assertiveness too. Yeah, and how to apply that to women, because they don't like guys that are, oh, can we like go out this weekend? Or it's like, nah, bro, you kind of got to set that up yourself. You gotta tell it like, yo, I'm picking you up Friday night at 8. Don't be late.
So what's the next book going to be about? What's swirling in your head now?
I wrote it a couple years ago, the Book of Hotep. I'm probably going to publish it in December, maybe early December. I got to sit down and edit it or get it to my editor. I still got to give it a look over because I'm advanced beyond where I was at that point. So I'll probably add maybe a couple of chapters or two. People want me to write a book on how to raise kids. So I'll probably dive into that. And then I think we need like a political action book or a cultural action book. So I've been tossing around a bunch of ideas on, what to write as far as America is concerned, and where we're headed politically and culturally, and what to do about that. So as soon as I find a direction, I'll probably sit down and start writing that book. But I mostly spend my day working on some of my tech projects like Jiffertize, Coinbase app. We sell Bitcoin BTC, and then Jiffertize is the Twitter companion app. So I spend most of my time working on stuff like that, and then the tech projects that we have coming in the future that are being built right now. But that's where most of my stuff goes. Writing is more or less like an outlet for me, because I have so many thoughts that just don't fit in a Twitter format, and it's just writing a book just gives me a way to flesh out all my ideas. I forget what I read, but it always said that you can go into town square and you can express all these thoughts, and everybody's going to think you crazy until you actually sit down and write a book which supports all of your thoughts in a long format, and then people tend to receive them a lot better. So that's what I try to focus on, is anytime I'm headed down a certain path, is making sure I write the long form version so I can never be misconstrued.
Yeah, that's good. What about with all the changes in big tech, censorship, and technology itself, and the blockchain? I mean, is there any? I heard you talking before, and we've talked about it here. Like, we're going to start hosting some of our own stuff, but I feel like there's going to be a need for some kind of blockchain interface for people to host their own, podcasts or videos or something that will be able to be non-centralized and take us out of that system.
Yeah, I don't know why blockchain has to be the technology for that. I still don't get that. Maybe it's good.
Maybe it's something else. Yeah, I don't know. Something.
I just don't understand what's wrong with the TCP/IP protocol. Yeah. Why not just use the internet the way it is now? Like, there's really no difference, right? Like, I host blockchain debates every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern time on my channel.
Oh yeah.
And I know the argument better than most people. I'm not saying I know the technology better than most people, because I don't. I know the argument better than most people. And the truth of the matter is, it's not much different. It's not much different than anything else that's happening out here and any other technologies. It's not like putting a social network on a blockchain is going to make it decentralized. That's just not true. If I open up a company right now and call it Hotep Blockchain, and I decide to start hosting content on there, I can choose who can get access to that and who can't.
Yeah.
So just because the blockchain exists doesn't mean it's not decentralized.
Yeah.
But in fact, I'll be talking about Bitcoin next week with Vin Armani, and people are going to be really upset when they find out my opinion on Bitcoin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have any Bitcoin, so I'm behind the times.
Yeah, I know. A lot of people say that.
Well, you had some once.
I had some, but I lost it.
Literally lost it.
I gave it away to the wrong person. I mean, it's probably worth a few thousand now. I just try not to think about it.
Yeah, don't think about it.
Best not to think about it. I'm still greenbacks. Grimerica.ca/support. Just send your cash.
What about advice for people then to get out of the system and not necessarily focus on, blockchain kind of thing, but create your own infrastructure, like just get out of the whole system and do that on your own type thing? Do you have any advice for people? Well, like, because like YouTube, the regular channels of censorship, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Facebook,
I don't know. I mean, this is unprecedented, right? This is like Fahrenheit 451.
Yeah.
We're dealing with the book burning. Like, what do you do when they're burning the books in the town center? Like, what do? You really have two options, right? You arm up, or you do nothing. You just take it. Like, those are literally your options.
There's three options. Or you help out.
Or you help out, right? You help the censors. You help YouTube.
You grab a pile of books and start burning them.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
I mean, that's what I see a lot of now, right? We're just dogpiling on everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, well, let's look at the conservatives. They complained about being deplatformed from social media, and as soon as Nick Fuentes sent the Groypers to the TPUSA event to ask Charlie Kirk some really tough questions, they asked for the deplatforming of Nick Fuentes. It's like a complete contradiction of what they said they were about. So, I mean, you're either, burning books or you're not. Right? But, when I look around, I just see everybody's burning books at some point in their life. But, what I think the solution to this is would be quite radical. And I think Andrew Jackson would be proud of me if he knew what I thought.
What is that?
What would Andrew Jackson do? You familiar with his history?
No.
Man, one time somebody came into Canadian. A bar. One time somebody came into a bar talking shit to Andrew Jackson, and he pistol whipped the shit out of him. So yeah,
is he the guy that had the duels before?
Yeah. He like, you got a problem? Let's go outside.
Yeah, let's go outside and duel.
Let's go outside and duel. I'll shoot your ass. You know what I mean? If you shoot me, it's fine. But like, I think that's where we are in America right now, where white people are scared to duel. And it's time to duel. Yeah. It's high time to duel. Yeah. Actually, I think white people in Arizona are ready. There's militia training out there, but
if we don't start something, we're gonna lose everything.
Yeah, that's kind of. We're probably gonna end up losing it. We don't even have any fucking guns, bro.
Well, what's gonna happen is we're gonna lose in the short term, but we're gonna win in the long term. It's gonna take extreme population decreases. Once the population decreases and we decrease to a minority or lower numbers than we are now, we'll have it'll be easier to unify, and then you'll have a topple of the structure, and somebody new will come into power. I mean, not dynasties usually don't last too long. This dynasty that's in power now, is only been around for a few hundred years. I'd probably say since the 1800s, since the Bolsheviks won the Russian Revolution. But they don't have they're struggling to keep a stronghold on the people, which is why they have to do the YouTube censorship, right? Which is why I'm so optimistic. A lot of people, they see the YouTube censorship and the Facebook stuff, and I'm like, this is good. It means people are actually like,
Freaking the fuck out.
Yeah, people are actually paying attention. There's still some people in this world that are quote unquote woke. I still think there's too many people asleep and participating in the politics game, but the fact that YouTube wants to come down and start censoring people lets me know that the establishment is really fucking scared. The fact that we got Grapers challenging Charlie Kirk lets us know that when Charlie Kirk has to cancel Q&As, it lets us know the establishment is fucking scared.
Yeah.
So short term I'm bearish, long term I'm bullish.
Yeah. I mean, for the thing to reset, I mean, it's only going to take one natural disaster, like a huge Toba or volcano or a mass ejection from the sun or like a Carrington event. I mean, us in the West are fucked if that happens. I mean, it's going to be a reset if some sort of mass disruption like to electronics happens.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was talking more or less human intervention.
Yeah, but I mean, we're close to either of those.
Close to? What, do you got inside information?
It's only a matter of time, right?
Only a matter of time.
Yeah, I mean, it's inevitable.
Yeah.
Murphy's Law.
If you zoom out far enough.
Yeah.
It's already there.
Yeah, I mean, eventually, some asteroid's going to hit this rock, and
but
that's going to be.
But to get the people to do it themselves, I mean, in Canada here, we just don't have the
wherewithal,
the anger. We just go with everything. Like there's just no uprising at all. I mean, our province is talking about separating, and it sounds good and everything, but I don't think they'll,
no chance.
There won't be enough of a uprising to make it happen. It'll just be.
You ever watched the Hunger Games?
Yeah, that's where we're headed.
Yeah.
So what's the girl's name? The main character chick?
Yeah, I don't know.
Agnes, I think.
I don't think it's Agnes.
What's her name, man?
Here, you keep talking. I'll find out the name.
I know.
I'll find out.
Yeah.
It starts with an A.
Yeah, it's an interesting name. Yeah.
But
no, it's not Aberdeen. I don't think.
She's almost like a subconscious Trojan horse, because when she gets the spotlight, she sends out a signal, and they got to snatch her off the TV.
Effie?
Right? Who?
No.
Nah, that's not even thing. But when the entertainers decide to stop participating, which I believe is inevitable, is when we'll see a change in tide. It's up to the entertainment industry, because it's the entertainment industry that's holding us back. It's the entertainment industry that wholly distracts us.
And it's pushing the cultural narrative all the time as well. I mean, they're controlling that, I think.
Yeah.
Katniss.
Yeah.
Katniss.
Katniss, there you go. So yeah, once for example, there was no solidarity amongst NFL players against the NFL, right? It was like maybe a handful. But if, 2, 3 teams decided we're not playing this Sunday, like that would have been huge, right?
Yeah.
Like we haven't had a real revolutionary in entertainment since Muhammad Ali. Like that was the last real entertainment revolutionary. I mean, we had Sam Cooke, you know, but as far as people that were dependent upon the entertainment industry, we really haven't seen too many people really like step up and give real pushback to anything and decide to you know, say no, right? Say no, like black people are still taking roles that we should be saying no to.
Yeah.
Jordan Peele is still making movies that we should say no to, right? Um, you know, like Jordan Peele is playing this white versus black dichotomy when white and black aren't enemies, you know. So, and he gets paid and gets pushed by his producers to keep that racial stuff in the news. So until entertainers decide, low, we're not dealing with that form of entertainment anymore. You know, let's deal with something different, something more culturally impactful. You won't see change, but I think eventually, you know, we'll see entertainers step up and say, no, we're not going to play.
How much of the entertainment industry do you think is left after Mockingbird?
You mean Operation Mockingbird?
Yeah. Is that the one where they took
Well,
over
are
the
you
press?
talking Well, that's the press, yeah.
Yeah, well, I think Mockingbird goes deeper than
I
just
mean,
the
it's
press.
all it's
I
all
think
connected, yeah.
the movie industry and everything. I mean, Clooney's clearly a spy.
Are you?
George Clooney?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's also connected. I don't know how they would ever, you know, leave their bread and butter behind and
Well, I mean,
and
that's
start
what I
to
mean. It's
revolt.
like those 5 companies that are making the movies, making the news,
And the
making
news,
the
yeah,
TV
yeah.
shows, making the newspapers, making it all. It's 5 fucking companies making it all.
Yeah.
Well, it might be 4 now that Fox bought or Disney bought Fox. So now Disney owns Fox and Vice, and even Vice, you know, the Renegade News is owned by Viacom, and he's a fucking billionaire.
Yeah. But it's all these companies need people. And
What about Rogan?
Yeah.
You went to Rogan. Did he seem like he was CIA?
Did he seem like he was CIA? I didn't get those vibes. You know? I mean, maybe he is. I didn't get those vibes. I don't know. I wasn't in that mindset to be looking for stuff like that when I went to Joe Rogan's. I just went to go do my interview and bounce. Maybe he is, maybe he's not. Because I've heard a lot of pushback with people saying shit about, you know, Rogan, and he's gotten soft and he works the establishment. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like those arguments are kind of weak because I can create an alibi for him that's really simple. You know, the fact of the matter is that they're doing book burnings on YouTube, and there's some things you can't talk about. So he might want to dance around topics for the sake of his own brand, for the sake of longevity, for the sake of his pockets, which he's not wrong for. You know, like why should he be the guy that dies on the hill for everyone else? You know, like there's like it takes an effort from everybody. Everybody needs to be speaking up. You know, we can't just say because he's got, you know, the largest platform out here, he's got to die for our sins. It's like, nah, like you got a responsibility too. You know. But yeah, I think everybody's got to join together.
You think it could come from the sports world as opposed to Hollywood type thing?
I think it has to come from the sports world. TV revolves around sports. You know, if you look at TV viewership is run by the NFL. All the shows for the week, all the news broadcasts for the week are advertised during NFL on Sunday. So it goes the NFL, and then the next biggest viewership is the news, and the news drives all the advertising, the products and TV shows and etc. But NFL, you know, runs the world or runs America. So you know, if the football players aren't going to be taking up a role to divest, I don't think much change will come. But I think eventually somebody's going to be that change, that spark, and get somebody to just boycott a game for a Sunday. I mean, literally, if black people stop playing football, this whole country was shut down. Just for one Sunday, this whole country was shut down. It'd be upside down.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's an interesting perspective. I haven't been into pro sports so much. I'm totally out of the loop on how
Well, I think the whole country's blowing up right now because of Don Cherry. Said "you people."
Yeah. That's,
So
there you go.
That's it.
I don't know if you heard about that. Our sportscaster in the NHL, the hockey.
That's our NFL in Canada.
He's been doing this
hockey night in Canada. Yeah. So your Sunday is Saturday in Canada, and it's hockey, and it's hockey night in Canada, and it's been going on. Buddy's been doing this for 40 years. Longer?
No, 38 or 40
I'm
or
only
something.
38. So.
Yeah, it's been going on for 40 years, and
yeah, he's a huge showboat. Oh yeah, this guy is over the top in every way. But anyway, he's bitching because nobody wears poppies anymore.
Nobody wears what?
Poppies.
There's a red poppy for Remembrance Day to remember the war veterans. How we
Yeah. So he went out and said, "You people come to Canada and you don't wear a poppy," and that's it. Fired.
Fired.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Totally.
He said that every year, probably. Yeah, for the last 40 years. But I watched the actual little thing. I mean, I've never been a Don Cherry fan. So I didn't want to see him get fired at 85.
But I did feel like he had a lot of support. People were like,
there was people protesting and stuff.
Yeah.
But they're still going to watch hockey, though.
Yeah.
Oh,
exactly,
100%.
Exactly. Yeah.
But you're not really protesting.
No.
Well, I don't
That's the problem.
We don't watch hockey. We don't watch hockey, just so.
Just so you know.
Protesting.
I don't watch any pro sports or Hollywood. I'm almost to the point where I can't watch Hollywood.
I'm back on. I've been renting movies on YouTube. I feel like YouTube is slowly turning into a movie rental platform. So I've been renting movies. I can't help it. The kids want to watch the movies that aren't on Netflix. I feel like YouTube and Netflix are in cahoots.
Yeah, maybe.
You ever watch that movie Equilibrium?
No,
I don't think so.
So in the movie Equilibrium, people are given a substance to inject in their body that removes their emotions.
Oh.
And throughout the day, there's this audio visual recording that plays all day, and they call this white dude father. And he's basically brainwashing people all day through the TV. And it's how I look at sports, where we've never had a disruption of the NFL. And I feel like the moment we have an unscheduled disruption of the NFL will be kind of like when fathers stop speaking and people come out of that spell.
Yeah.
Because you ever notice that when the NFL isn't in season, people are more glued into social topics. And as soon as the NFL season, like I used to make this joke, I said, "Yo, y'all got like 4 more weeks to kick off this revolution because football comes back."
Wow, really? Hey, it's that powerful down there.
Yeah.
Huh.
Like the other day I was tweeting on a Saturday, and some dude goes, "Bro, the football's on." And it's like college football every Saturday. And I'm just like, dude, I wasn't even thinking about that. Like, I forgot you guys watch football on the weekends. But I don't watch TV, so I can't relate.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that's the problem is we're out of touch now. So here's the thing. So why don't we get a crowd fund going, and we'll buy all the Super Bowl commercials. We'll have a Hotep commercial, a Grimerica commercial. Well, who else can we get in there? Everyone. We'll get everyone who's got it.
The thing is that they'll never allow that.
Yeah, they're like, "Fuck you guys." Nope.
I've bought advertising before, and there's too much of a discussion involved to be able to do that. They'll turn your money down. They have no problem if it's not the right message.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. What about the hip hop community?
Okay, so you're gonna have to run out on the football field then with a message.
Yeah.
What about the hip hop community? Is there anything similar you would hope for from that, or does it have the same? Doesn't have the same influence?
Nah, hip hop doesn't really have the influence people think it does.
Not anymore. Did it used to?
It never really did.
No.
Nah, I mean, not like the NFL.
Yeah.
Like nobody tunes in. For example, if I pulled Giants fans and Eagles fans into the room. Like it gets really tribal, you know? Like it's real passion. People say, "Oh, this is my team." They feel like they're actually invested in these teams.
Yeah.
Whereas hip hop, people aren't that invested into an artist.
Oh,
Where
that's a good point.
and an artist is here today,
Yeah.
and if you don't hear from him next year, you just kind of forget about him, right?
Right.
So music, and there's so much abundance of music where it's kind of like you could do "Where Are They Now" all day long, and we can play number one Billboard artists all day long, and be like, oh, I remember that guy, and like, where is he now? He's working at KFC, right?
Right.
Now that's not to say hip hop has no influence. I think it does, but hip hop's in a very good place right now. I think the people putting out music right now put out great music. The message is getting better. Kanye just released that gospel album, that gospel style album. We still got Kendrick Lamar out here. We got J. Cole out here. We got Black, Rhapsody. Hip hop's in really good hands. Some of the top artists still have great messages. The problem is people are so distracted by other things that some of these messages, won't get through or aren't allowed to get through because of, classism. J. Cole, you're not going to see him wearing the flashy Louis Vuitton and all of that stuff. He just looks like a regular, bummy dude. He doesn't believe in, all that flashy style stuff. So people will dismiss him, but that's because they've been sold this idea of, designer, everything. So when people say stuff like that, like, hip hop's influential, I'm like, nah, these designers are a lot more influential than hip hop. Hip hop is just selling these things. But, people, it's not even a hard sell. Everybody wants nice shit, but, I would definitely put it on TV, movies, sports, and then maybe music.
Yeah.
Huh. So it's just cancel your cable. Throw the TV out the window?
Yeah, I mean, you got to cancel. I mean, think about it like this, right? Music is very much an option. TV is not. Whatever channel you turn it on, you're going to get some bullshit. Even you turn on the History Channel, you're going to get some bullshit.
Yeah.
Discovery, yeah, more bullshit.
Yeah, you're gonna get half the truth. Whereas music, I can open up my Tidal app and pick Michael Jackson or Coltrane or Miles Davis. I get that option. With the news, there really aren't options. You got CNN, Fox, NBC. And that's your options. And people kind of look at them as being the authority on what is news. And what people don't realize is what these outlets are saying, the accuracy of it all actually doesn't matter, right? If they talk about, hey, this is the Iraq war, this is what's happening in Iran, the accuracy of the report actually doesn't matter at all. What matters is the fact that they decide to call what's happening in Iran news. What they choose to call news is where the problem comes in.
Yeah.
So when you wake up in the morning and you check your feed and you see what's in that news cycle, they're basically controlling your life based upon this news cycle. You're not choosing what the news cycle is. It's given to you. Whereas music, you kind of have that option. They can force you Cardi B, but you still have the option to go to, Rhapsody and these other artists.
You have an iPhone?
Yeah.
Have you been able to get rid of that fucking U2 album?
That what?
There's that U2 album on there. I can't get rid of it. I've deleted it 50 times. It just keeps coming back.
What's it called?
U2.
U2.
U2?
U2.
Bono?
Bono.
I don't know what that is.
You're so lucky.
It was this weird deal where it came with the phone, so Darren's always bitched about not being able to get rid of it. Like it was forced down his throat, basically.
It just showed up there one time, and now I've actually deleted it a couple times.
And it keeps coming back.
I'm driving down the road, and fucking YouTube.
Meanwhile, I can't get the music back that I want on my phone.
Definitely.
That's how bad it is.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, and the movies are interesting too, because as the movies and the TV shows become a little bit too woke for people, it's backfiring on them, and I don't think they can keep
Now you're using
sustaining
woke in the
themselves.
opposite direction.
Yeah,
What's
they
been
took over.
what's been in entertainment that's woke? I haven't seen anything.
No, so
woke.
he's using opposite of woke. So he's using like I don't know
What
what's
they
the
call
opposite of woke?
what they say. They took that term away from the real red pill, and now it's been, you know, just
Yeah,
like
they love to do
conspiracy
that.
theory. They take these terms away and change the meaning.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's not sustainable. I don't think they'll keep losing money on stuff.
You know what though? Dora tripped out on mushrooms, so that was kind of cool.
Oh my god.
Or was it Dora? Or
know.
someone in the Dora movie ate a mushroom. I thought I laughed. I think the world could use more psychedelics.
yeah. No, I couldn't say.
Well, if you ever come to Canada, look me up.
I don't think I have a desire to.
20 minutes in and out.
Yeah, stay away from them. We need some of us to stay away from them too.
We need some
I'll be
realists
with
in
you
the
over
group.
there.
Yeah.
I haven't met anybody who's done them that can prove to me that it's beneficial. You know, because everybody tells me the same thing. They're like, "Oh my God, I went into this area, and then it was just like I knew everything, and everything was enlightening, and I can't subscribe it." And I'm like, "All right, so when you came back, what did you retain?" Well, nothing really. So I'm like, "The fuck? You just wasted your time."
like Darren, a word, but I can't remember it.
I can't
My
remember the
my
word.
ego. I met this dude. He told me a word, but I can't remember it.
I can't remember.
Yeah, like that's what everybody says, and I'm like,
But I
So
keep
you-
a lot of the other stuff with me, like any of the life review stuff or stuff like that. I mean, yeah.
You had a pretty profound trip recently. That
Yeah, and some of the stuff with the mushrooms is crazy. I mean, for treating anxiety and depression and stuff like that. But you have to go in it with that
in a therapeutic setting.
in a
Yeah,
therapeutic. Like
yeah.
you start it with
Yeah.
saying, like, okay, I'm going in to fucking deal with my
Yeah.
anxiety over Graham being an asshole, and then I
Yeah.
eat my mushrooms, and I'm like, hey, Graham's not an asshole. It's okay. And then
yeah.
You know,
See,
here
that
we
would
are.
go.
getting
Yeah,
along.
that would go against my philosophy. You know, my philosophy is we don't seek happiness in external things. We seek happiness internally. So we go within instead of going without. So you know, if I was dealing with anxiety, I have certain things that I do, and I don't need. All I need is a couple of candles, and we good. You know, just to set the mood. But you know, like even like when people say they have all these epiphanies and whatnot, I'm like, I get epiphanies all day. Like I don't need some, you know, I could smoke weed and get an epiphany. I don't really need the mushroom trip.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe in a couple of years I do it and I come back on the show. I'm like, dude,
Holy
yeah, it's the
fuck.
best shit
I'll
ever.
tell you what. I'll send you the link to the episode I ate mushrooms on. You can see if that how that sits with you. But I mean, cannabis is the same idea. I mean, I especially when you start dabbling into the edibles. I mean, you eat enough fucking edibles and you're borderline on some. You might as well have
Psychedelics.
eaten a couple
Yeah.
of mushrooms.
Yeah, you don't hallucinate though.
No, you don't. But even on the mushrooms, you don't hallucinate a whole ton.
Okay.
Any level of hallucination I thought I had on mushrooms is fucking gone. It's not
Okay.
like there's
Convi-
like no with mushrooms. It's more of the waves and the feelings and the ability to maybe look at yourself in a different light. Whereas with the DMT, it's more like a complete fucking life review. I equate it to a near death experience. Whereas like last time, I thought I had I thought I had some shit worked out, and it was pretty fucking humbling. Of like, listen, bro, you got some fucking work to do.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I think just because where I'm at in my life, I'm just so content with my progress and my success. It's just like I don't want to fuck.
Why
nothing
fuck with it?
Yeah, exactly. You might just come out batshit crazy. I mean, that's
Yeah.
then I'd feel terrible.
Yeah.
It would be like you fucking ruined Hotep.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in a good place. I don't
Well,
know how-
I suppose the @ is at Hotep Jesus on Twitter.
yeah, Hotep Jesus on Twitter.
Is that the only place you hang out on the social? Are you on Facebook or anything like that?
Nope, just Twitter.
Discord? If you ever get sick of Twitter, head over to Grimerica.ca/chats. We'd love to have you. We'll give you a special title, Hotep. You'll be the only Hotep in the whole chat room. You have my
Nice.
word.
Appreciate that.
But we appreciate you filling our blank spot here. Your intuition worked out perfectly with our cancellation, so we were able to get you in next day. I mean, that doesn't happen very often.
Oh yeah, yeah, man. That's why I don't need the mushrooms.
That's it. This
Yeah,
is it. You are the
exactly.
mushroom.
He's there. He's already there.
Thanks for having me.
Right on.
Yeah, I hope
Thanks,
you had a
Bryan.
good time, man.
Come back anytime.
All right, definitely.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Okay, take care.
Bye.
Yeah, and that was our chat.
That
with
was a
Hotep Jesus.
chat with Hotep Jesus. What'd you think, buddy?
Yeah, it was fun.
That was a fun one, eh?
I was a little shocked that we got into the political stuff so quickly right off the bat. You're like, you get into the fascism right off the bat. But once I
Started out with the
realized his
fascism.
equilibrium is always there, then that's okay. I
Yeah,
didn't want to
that's
start out too heavy, but it was good. Yeah.
Too heavy?
No, I didn't want to start out too heavy,
That's right.
but it was good. Yeah.
It was a great chat. 90 minutes flew by.
Yeah, that did
The
fly
chats
by
were
there,
popping.
Yeah.
Everyone seemed to. We got. Man, I wish I had the pleasure of not knowing who U2 was. This is it.
You too. Yeah.
Right? Can you imagine?
I love it.
Never
Yeah.
having met U2.
Yeah.
Oh, what a world.
That's great.
What was that?
No,
first
I'm thinking about reading that book. I think it
song?
would be a good book. Yeah.
Still having fun.
What I'm looking for.
Is that U2? Yeah.
Yeah.
it's got
Oh
it.
yeah, that's you too. Yeah.
What book you reading?
No, this the Hotep one.
Oh, the masculinity one?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to peek into that
Yeah,
too, I think.
yeah.
I didn't know it existed until like
I looked
3
on
days ago.
Audible right away because I thought maybe I can
On Audible?
cram it down right off the bat.
Ooh, we should start that company. I wonder if
Yeah.
that URL's taken. Someone get audible.com.
Yeah.
It'll be our new audiobook production company.
There you go.
Audible.
Awesome. Audible.
All right. Big thanks to Hotep for coming on the show. Check out his Twitter. Check out his books. Big thanks to you guys for listening. The show wouldn't be much fun if nobody listened. So at least there's a couple dozen of you out there listening, and we love you for it. There's even a few that choose to support us. Grimerica.ca/support. We need some support because we love you, and you love us, and you love the show. You love the value that the show provides you every week. Fill in a couple hours of your time without this fake news, and we're giving you the antidote to the world and its messed up ways. That cancel your cable, cancel all your other shit, support your independent content creators. Start with Grimerica, grimerica.ca/support. Do all the other stuff in the show notes too. You can review the show, rate the show. Let's all review the show this week. On Monday morning, we'll wake up to 20,000 new reviews. How about that? Grimerica.ca/iTunes. Get you over there. Anything else?
Send Graham an email.
Spam
Graham@grimerica.com.
Graham@Grimerica.com.
Synchronicities, and I got a great one to read on an upcoming intro. It's going to be fantastic.
Excellent. Other than that, hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next week. Clear. Still live.
All right.
I forgot to turn on the radio.
Oh yeah. So are we gonna do this? We have this this guy kind of on hold to do the mushroom thing.
We
The
got
intro, but
We got an hour until Vortex Math. So let's not stream the intro, and we'll just come back at 6:30 with Vortex.
yeah, it's gonna be too. Yeah,
It's going to be a fucking gong show.
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
I mean, I
we'll-
was even gonna suggest not doing the intro until Friday, but I forgot we have this guy. on
I
the
can't
hook,
do Friday. I'm like out of time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, no, you got time after Flurry, no?
No, I want to
Oh.
go and do the Christmas lights.
Oh.
Okay, guys, we'll see you at 6:30 with, well, you guys all know Brandon Powell. We got his brother coming on, Randy Powell. We'll talk about some Vortex Math. It's going to be complicated.